What's up everyone? In this video I'm going to talk about the Nikon D90 and see if it's still a strong camera to use in 2023 and so on. And yes, the Nikon D90 is still a very solid camera to use in 2023. This camera was actually my gateway camera to get into the mid-level DSLRs. I sold my Nikon D40 for this D90 back in 2011, 2012. And let's just get straight to the specs of it. The Nikon D90 has a 12.9 megapixel CMOS crop sensor. The LCD screen is the same as the Nikon D3 and the D300. The ISO ranges from 200 to 3200, ISO 100 at low 1.0 with a boost to ISO 6400 at high 1.0. It can shoot up to 4.5 frames per second. It has 11 autofocus points. It has an AF screw, so you can also use the older Nikon AFD lenses as well. It has one SD memory card slot, and it does do video recording. So for a 15-year-old camera, I still really do like using this camera. Like I said earlier, I sold my D40 for this. Back then, it was actually $600 for the body alone. Now you can find one for about $150, just depending on the condition it's in now. Another great thing about this camera is the LCD screen. It's actually very nice. But this one, my copy, is showing its age. It has a yellow tint when you're taking pictures, but the pictures don't show that yellow tint, so I'm assuming it's just the LCD screen showing its age. Another great thing about this camera is the ISO performance. It's one of the reasons why I moved from my Nikon D40 to the Nikon D90. While the D40's ISO performance was good, the D90 was just on another level. And this is back in 2011, 2012 when the Nikon D7000 was released. I didn't have enough funds for the D7000, so I just had to go to the D90 and never looked back, because the D90, I used it for like 3 more years. That's how good the D90 is. Another great thing about the Nikon D90 is that you can use the older Nikon AFD lenses. I have the Nikon 50 1.4D and the 2.8D, and I can use that on this camera. And another good thing I like about the D90 too is the battery life. It's actually pretty good. I know that the years that I've used it, the battery, it took a while for the battery to die, because I remember friends and family asking me about, battery life. I told them these DSLRs, their batteries are a lot bigger, so they're gonna last a lot longer, and they do. These batteries, especially if you're not doing video, the batteries last a while. And then just on to the cons about it, just getting back to the video, you can only record a maximum of 5 minutes, and even on top of the video, it does not do any autofocus, so it's the bare bones just video recording, and you have to manually focus whatever subject you're filming. But at least you have video recording, right? I mean, that's what it does. And there are actually short films and videos on YouTube of people using the D90 for those too. So that just shows how capable the Nikon D90 is still. Another con just for me personally is just where the ISO button is. If you're coming from a newer mirrorless camera or the pro body cameras like the D700s or the D300s, the ISO button is kind of annoying. Or if I'm switching cameras around, that ISO button for me is it just doesn't work with me for some odd reason. And the image quality on the Nikon D90 is actually really good. It just also really depends on what lens you're using and what settings you have shooting with those lenses. But overall, I would say the Nikon D90's image quality is actually very good. As you can see in these examples here, I did use the Nikon 18-200 and I did use the 50 1.8G, but take a look, let me know what you think about it. When the D90 was released, it was actually a very high contender in the DSLR world. It was Nikon's first DSLR to have video too. And I would say its low light performance is actually pretty good, especially for its age and especially for now with all the mirrorless cameras out and about. And just letting everyone know, the ISO grain really varies depending on how much light you have and how much light you're working with. I know that with the Nikon D90, I've used it for 3 years. I do usually see a lot of grain above ISO 1600. So overall, the Nikon D90 still holds up, especially in 2023. It's still a very nice camera, especially if you're still doing photography. It's an excellent camera to learn with, and I also like that you can use the older Nikon AFD lenses on it. There's a wide range of lenses you can use. So if you're looking at like the Nikon D5000 series or the D3000s, you will be able to use the older AFD lenses, but those won't autofocus because it does not have the AF screw. When I did have my old Nikon D90, I had the 35 and 50 1.8G, especially the 50. I really like the 50 on this camera. It was just amazing colors. And if you're interested in the 35mm 1.8G DX and the 50 1.8G, I do have video reviews on my channel, so you can check those out as well. If you had a Nikon D90 or if you have had one, comment below and let me know what you think, and let me know what your favorite lens you use on your Nikon D90 as well. And if you're thinking about buying one, I'll have a link in the description below on where you can purchase one too. For those current Nikon D90 users, leave a comment too and just share with everyone how good this camera is still for you and for others that's still looking for one. Thanks for watching everyone, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe.